My name is Samantha Fromm, and I'll be talking about using stem cell therapy to treat equine tendon injuries. Horses are amazing athletes, and just like our human athletes, they are susceptible to injuries. One of the more common injuries in the equine athletic industry are those of the tendon. These injuries can greatly limit a horse's career and prevent them from performing to their greatest capacity. This sucks for both the horse and the rider, who both work hard to be able to compete. One of the newer treatments for tendon injuries is stem cell therapy. In this short presentation, I will talk about how tendons work, how tendon injuries are caused, what stem cells are and their history, and finally how this treatment works, as well as the pros and cons of stem cell therapy. Tendons are a type of connective tissue that attach muscles to bones. Tendons are an elastic structure and help to absorb shock from the impacts of movement. These fibrous structures help to provide support when stress is put on the limb, which is extremely important when the horse is exercising. The main purpose of these tendons is to support the fore and hind limbs and to store energy for spring-like motion when the horse is performing activities like jumping or running. Injuries in the deep flexor tendon, like the one shown in the picture, are especially common. Tendon injuries can be caused from the tendon being overused or from stepping up the level of physical activity too quickly. When a horse bows a tendon, it is tearing the connective fibers at a point in the tendon, like the one shown in the picture, and causes the tendon to weaken. This leads to inflammation of the tendon, and if it's not properly treated, it will eventually cause the tissue in the tendon to scar, which can limit the tendon's ability to move due to its inelasticity. This makes it essential to treat a tendon injury as soon as possible, and one of the ways of doing this is with stem cell therapy. Stem cells are a type of immature cell that do not yet have a specific function. There are two main types of stem cells: embryonic stem cells and adult stem cells. Embryonic stem cells are able to develop into any type of cell from the body, and were the first type of stem cell to be used in research. Adult stem cells, which are the type of stem cell used in stem cell therapy for the tendon, are more limited than their embryonic counterparts. They can either turn into a hematopoietic stem cell, which turns into components of the blood, or into a mesenchymal stem cell, which turns into connective tissue. Mesenchymal stem cells were first discovered in the 1960s by Freudenstein and his co-worker when they saw that bone marrow could differentiate into different types of cells. The name came from these cells' ability to differentiate into cells that were originated from the mesoderm, also known as the middle germ cell layer. This ability of stem cells is why they have been considered for several areas of the health industry. Healing tendon injuries can be a lengthy process that can be divided into 3 stages. During the first stage, there is an inflammatory response that can involve hematoma formation, which is the swelling due to the breaking of blood vessels. After this, proliferation occurs to try and form new blood vessels. Finally, the new tissue produced must mature and become organized. According to Ahmed and others, after the organization of this new tissue, it typically takes 3 to 4 weeks for the tendon to gain most of its original strength. By using stem cell therapy to treat tendon injuries, the hope is that the tissue in the tendon will not scar and therefore prevent the loss of function in the tendon. As mentioned earlier, when using stem cell therapy in this manner, adult stem cells are more commonly used. These stem cells can be collected from either fat tissue or bone marrow. Stem cells from bone marrow are most commonly collected from heparinized containers from the sternum, which must be done under sedation. This can be seen in this picture here. The stem cells are then cultivated or grown in a lab for a period of 3 weeks and are then implanted into the tendon. When collecting stem cells from adipose tissue, the procedure is much less invasive. The tissue for this procedure is collected from the horse's tail head, from a small incision approximately 2.5 centimeters in length. This can be seen in this picture here. Once the cells are collected, they are then processed before they are injected into the site of injury. The use of stem cell therapy to treat tendon injuries has been fairly successful compared to alternative methods. Pros to using stem cell therapy are that when using this treatment, the injury seems to almost completely heal. In the study done by S.A. Reed and E.R. Leahy, they found that horses treated with bone marrow stem cells have appeared to produce higher levels of collagen and have a greater level of organization in their collagen fibers. They also found that after a month, horses injected with the bone marrow stem cells had greater tendon density than the horses in the control group, and that after 6 months, the tendon injury seemed to be almost completely repaired. Horses treated with the bone marrow stem cells had repairs that were stiffer but more durable than horses in the control group, though the repair was still not as tough as the normal tissue. This made it so that only 27% of horses treated with bone marrow stem cells re-injured the tendon injury after 2 years of the initial injury, versus 56% of the horses that re-injured the tendon in the control group. Downsides to using stem cell therapy are that it does not reduce the work that comes with tendon injuries and that it can be quite expensive. According to Cotto, the average recovery time is 11 months, and this can cost anywhere from $1,000 to $3,000 per treatment. Another concern with using stem cells to treat tendon injuries is their viability. When stem cells are used, they are taken from their native environment and cultivated before being placed back into the tendon. In a study done by Guest and others, they found that less than 5% of the mesenchymal stem cells survived after 10 days, suggesting that mesenchymal stem cells may not be able to change into tenocytes. Still, the stem cells helped in other ways, such as reducing inflammation. Overall, it is up to the individual and their situation as to whether or not stem cell therapy is the best treatment for their horse. Stem cell therapy, while being beneficial, still needs more research done before it can be more commonly used. Still, this technique has a lot of promise for the future. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope it has helped you learn more about stem cell therapy in equines.